it's time for another little, I guess, homestead hack. This one's maybe a little bigger, but anyways, it's just something that we do. Well, obviously we have cows, we have horses, we have chickens, and we have gardens. And so it's just a little tip, I guess, on something you can do that I guess reduces some of your labor and some of the time to create some compost. So I'll show you what we've got going on. So what this tip is, essentially, is a double chicken run. There's a lot of different ways to do this. This is one of the methods that we find works really well. Basically, all it is, we have one chicken coop and a double run. And as you can see, we bring some of the bedding, which right now is mostly from the cows, out into the run, and the chickens have a lot of fun with it. They also get a fair bit of food, because if it does attract any flies or anything like that, they are right there ready to eat the larva. And they do turn it pretty well. Now, it's not 100% perfect, but what ends up happening is this. So over time, this is most of it. I mean, there's a piece right there that they haven't really mucked around in, but a lot of this is really composted down rather quickly because they're constantly agitating the pile. So what we basically do is, and this doesn't have to be perfect, we start cleaning this out, and we have this coop positioned right near one of our garden beds. So that essentially, and you can see I've already taken some from the manure pile too, but it's actually not as nicely broken down as what the chickens have done, because you can see that little bit darker colored soil, that's what the chickens have created. So I'm going to go ahead and do a bit of a clean out here and show you what it looks like at the end. I'm maybe half done, probably only been about 10 minutes, but you can see I've added quite a bit out of here. Now, the one thing I will say is certainly not an exact science, and I'll show you what I mean. So this little spot here, you can see, I'll zoom in, I've hit a bit of a green spot in the pile, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. I'll probably just work around it and leave that in here. The nice part is the chickens will come back in and work whatever you leave. This area kind of right in front, which is a little bit more hard packed, I may just ruck it up. We'll see. Kind of going to use my judgment as to whether it's worth adding it or not, but obviously that piece there that's still green manure isn't going in the garden. But over here you can see, I mean, they've basically turned some woody bits still in there, but I'm not too worried about incorporating that into the garden. And the green you see is actually not weed growth. As you look on top, the chickens eat everything. The green is some weeds that we've thrown in from the garden beds. But anyways, that's kind of what you're working with. Not an exact science, but it does speed it up. I mean, we put cow, horse, we have put goat, sheep, pretty much any kind of manure in here. The chickens love working around in it. Instead of a year, I don't know, you're probably like maybe 6 months. Don't quote me on that, because it's definitely not an exact science. You just got to use your judgment. When it looks good and broke down, it's time to clean it out. Refresh the run for the chickens, which of course benefits them as well. And keep adding to the other one. She's turned around now, but as I dig in the pen next to her, this hen here has been intently watching what's going on. She wants all the stuff that's in here, which, to be honest, there's not much. Another thing too, there's no smell. This is coming out of a chicken coop, yes, or a chicken coop run, but there's no nasty chicken smell or anything like that. It's pretty benign. Now, I would definitely recommend, if you're doing this, do it when it's dry, because this will get fairly heavy. Obviously, if it's wet. There's the results. I'm taking quite a bit of matter out of here, and I've actually let the chickens in because they really want it in. And I did leave that area kind of right here. There was a bit of a green spot, but for the most part it was pretty composted. So I guess the real hack here is the chickens can break this down quite a bit quicker than a normal pile, provided you don't put it in too thick, because they're constantly aerating it which is something of course chickens are known to do. And they're having fun right now, unearthing treasures in the bottom of the pile. Well, that's the hack, and I guess there's a few other benefits to it too. One of the things that is actually fairly important, at least in our opinion, is by doing this kind of method, if you've got a permanent run, you do really eliminate that hard pack that you often get in poultry yards, because you're constantly, well, I say constantly, but you're periodically removing the material, so, and then adding new stuff, and there's a lot. Basically, we think that's just more beneficial for the chickens if you do have to keep them in a stationary run, which, you know, a lot of us would like to be completely mobile. It's not always practical, especially when you get into breeding groups and all that other sort of stuff. So there's our tip, and I'll show you kind of what the result looks like here on the gardens. So here is sort of a newer section that we worked up. Last year we had our potato bins here, and this year we're going to use it as in-ground garden. I actually got a pretty good amount of coverage. I do need to add some more to this because this has never really been amended. When we look at this bed, which kind of runs from the gate of the garden all the way down, I got some pretty good coverage. So I am tonight, when it's cool, I don't want to do it, it's overcast right now, but I don't want to do it when I'm really going to risk drying the soil out. I am going to take the tiller and I am going to work this in. Now, I did mention in an earlier video, we're hoping to apply a mulch similar to what we did over here with the garlic on top of this after we plant, and hopefully we can move a little closer to a no-till or at least a reduced till setup. There we go. Chicken compost added to the garden. Well, as you can see, it's basically end of day, and now I cleaned this out this morning, and you can see that I say in less than half a day with access here, they've what was left is pretty worked up. Those couple of clods of green manure and stuff have basically disintegrated into this. Now, I'm not going to say that they are broken down yet, but it just kind of goes to show you how quick chickens can work. But on that note, we've already done a bit of a spot cleaning in the stalls, and it's time to add some more.